look, we're not saying that you don't have to learn characters. What we're saying is that the previous methods for learning characters were more boring, slower, and have a worse mechanism for recalling. So if you do forget a character, you basically have to start from scratch. But with the Memory Palace, what's great about it is that if you forget a character, you can go back into your Memory Palace room and it'll come back to you really quickly. In the same way that if you walk by a coffee shop that you haven't been to in years and you look in the window, suddenly you're flooded with memories of times that you spent there. And so once you have this good method for learning characters, you're not only remembering them in the short term, you have a method by which to remember them quickly, 6 months from now, a year from now, when you've forgotten them for whatever reason. Now, of course, you're not finished at characters. You need to keep moving on to the next stage, which is how to learn words and grammar. But the key here is understanding that the vocabulary layer and the grammar layer are far easier than most languages. It's just they have this premise called you need to know the characters first. If you don't know the characters, they're incredibly hard because you don't understand the component parts. But if you do understand the characters, vocabulary words are completely logical and the grammar structures are even simpler than that. So if you understand characters, you really have a shot at succeeding at learning in Chinese. Now, first of all, many characters are words in and of themselves, so you can start building foundational vocabulary just by using the Hanzi movie method. However, most Chinese words are a combination of 2 or more characters, yet they are so logical. They're like the English words playground or tabletop. It's just adding 2 puzzle pieces together for the vast majority. Now, with all this talk of memory athletes and these different techniques that they use, it's natural to ask, well, how does memory actually work? And while memory researchers certainly don't know everything there is to know, there have been discoveries over the past several years that have really opened our eyes to what is actually going on. And one thing that's really important to remember is that memory doesn't only exist in one part of your brain. And this does make sense because all of your senses can be related to memory. You remember how something feels, you remember how something smells. Smell is the strongest one tied to memory. And what that means is that all of your sensual experiences, which function in different parts of your brain, can contribute to memory. So it's not stored in just one spot. So naturally, the more connections you have to any given concept or fact, like what is a pen, the easier it is to get into your long-term memory, especially if they connect on a number of different sensual levels. And this is true of memories that you have that you didn't intentionally try to keep. So you had some birthday when you were 10 that you remembered your whole life. Well, there's something about that set of experiences that made it easy for you to remember, even though you weren't intentionally trying to learn about it. Now, when you are intentionally trying to learn about it, what's easier to learn? Something with no foundational knowledge whatsoever, or something that is a piggyback on what you already do know? So like a chemist will read the newest chemistry research paper and easily be able to learn the material in it, while, a layman like myself would have no clue. This fundamental principle of memory, that the more connections we have to a new fact, the quicker we put it into our long-term memory, is the exact reason that the memory athletes always build their memory palaces based on places they've actually been, past workplaces, the apartments they've lived in, their childhood home. We do those exact same things in the Hanzi movie method. And you can do very similar things with vocabulary. It doesn't have to be quite as systemized as characters because once you learn a vocabulary word, you're only one step away from seeing it in a sentence, and then you have the characters helping you remember it, and you have the sentence helping you remember it, but that doesn't mean there aren't loads of things you could do to help you put into your long-term memory super quick.